This is an engine shed. It's suitable for one engine. However, this shed is modular. You can make it for as many engines as you want. It's also height and width adjustable. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make it. Quick note before we start, make sure that the platform that you build your engine shed on is level with the top of whatever your rail happens to be. To make the engine shed, you'll need the following. Use granite and terracotta for texturing. I haven't given quantities for those because it's really up to you how much variation you want in your walls. I also haven't given amounts for the blackstone slabs for the maintenance pit because I don't know how long you want to make that pit. Before we start, I just want to say that my engine shed is based on a rail line that is set up like this. So we've got 2 rows of anvils with a 1 block gap in between and sleepers made of oak slabs that stick out 1 beyond each of the anvils. So it's basically 5 blocks wide. If your railway line is wider than that, feel free to adjust the shed to accommodate, but try to keep it as an odd number unless you want to really muck around with the roof to accommodate an even number instead. We're going to begin at the front of the shed. So starting with brick, place down 2 and then a stone brick. Leave a gap of 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Place another stone brick on the next one and 2 more brick after. The length of the shed is your longest engine plus 15. My longest engine so far is the Austerity. There should be a link to a tutorial for that on the screen and in the description. It's 25 blocks long. That doesn't count the tender. So the length of my shed is 25 plus 15, which is 40. So we're going to count this as 1, and then we're going to go back 40 blocks. 2, 3, 39, 40. Now do this on the other side. So we make the other side exactly the same length. There we are, 40 on both sides. Now decide which side you want a side door on. For me, it's going to be this one. If you want it on the other side, that's fine. It works exactly the same way. Come to the end and count back 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and knock out the 5th for the doorway. Now we're just going to join up this back wall. That's the outline of the basic shed. So now we're going to build up the doorway to the engine shed. So the height of the doorway is the height of your tallest engine plus 1. Now my tallest engine is my LMS crane tank. Again, there's links to tutorials in the description. It's 9 blocks high, which includes the top of the crane. That makes my doorway 10 blocks high. So 1, 2, 3, 9, 10. Build up the other side the same. Whatever the height of your doorway, build up the 2 brick columns either side of it to the same height plus 2. So that's the same height, and then that's row 11 and row 12. Now grab some spruce log and run it right the way along the top, going from stone brick pillar to stone brick pillar. And grab an axe and strip the log. Now that that's done, grab your brick and run it right the way along the top of the log. Let's finish off the front of the building. I'll give you the measurements for my engine shed. If you've made this wider, you'll have to adjust accordingly. If you've made it taller, it will make no difference. You can build it exactly the same as I have. So we're going to come across to one side. We're going to leave a gap of 2, and then we're going to place 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a grey stained glass pane and then another 4. On the next row we're going to come back 2, and on the next one we're going to place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, come up 1 more, leave a gap of 2 and place 1. That's the front of the engine shed done. Let's go around and do the back. So we're going to build this back wall up to a height of 5. That includes this row here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now just fill the rest of it into the same height. Now we've got to finish the rest of the wall and put the central window in. So come to one end, doesn't matter which because you're going to do the other end the same. We're going to go across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to build that up so that there's a total height of 12. So this is now 6 blocks high, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That should be the same height as the front, and just build the remaining 4 blocks up to the same height. There we go. Do that on this end, and that leaves us a gap that is 3 blocks wide and should be 7 blocks high. Again, if you've made this archway taller or shorter, you'll have a couple less or maybe a couple more. Fill in that gap, regardless of its height, with grey stained glass panes. Now take bricks, come to one end, leave a gap of 2, and run bricks right the way along. And again, leave a gap of 2 at the other side. Come up to the next level, gap of 2, bricks along the top, gap of 2 at the side, and 1 at the top. That's our back wall. We're going to work on the wall with the side door first. And to begin with, we're going to set up the windows. So starting at the front end, place a brick block, leave a gap of 2, 2 brick blocks, another gap of 2, 2 brick blocks, and keep repeating that until you have 5 gaps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And carry the rest of the row right the way along to the doorway and then finish it off. Now in those spaces, put right way up polished granite stairs. Now we've got to leave space for the windows, and the way to work out the height of that space is half the height of this wall plus 1. So for me, this wall is 12, half of that is 6, plus 1 is 7. So we're going to build these up to a height of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And do that in between all the windows. When you get to the wall beyond the last window, run the next row of wall right the way along till you get to the door, and then skip one for the doorway and finish it off, and then fill in the entirety of the wall to the same height as the windows. Now that we've got this, complete your wall so that it's the same height as your front and back walls, and run it right the way along the top of the window openings. Should look like that. Now come to your window openings, and at the top place upside down polished granite stairs and fill the window gaps with grey stained glass. And of course that's panes, not blocks. One wall. Now repeat this round the other side, but omit the doorway, so just build from here straight the way across. And that's the other wall. This is now the shell of the engine shed done. Next, let's turn our attention to the roof. So we're going to start at the front and mark out the gable end. So grab a stone brick slab and put it on top of this first column here. Stone brick next to it. Slab next to that, then another stone brick, slab and brick, and slab at the top. So just repeat that over here, just going up with a slab block pattern. And now we're going to hide how this steps by putting a row in front. You can use stone brick blocks if you want. I actually like to use the warped wood just to give a bit of an accent, as if they've come and painted the front of the engine shed. So we're going to put a warped slab in front of this slab, but we're going to put one underneath as well. And then warp plank next to brick block, and then 2 slabs again, warp plank, 2 slabs, warp plank, and at the top 2 slabs. So see the difference between this, which is a nice even rise, and this, which is more jagged. So now we're going to repeat that same process on this side. Now do all this on the back wall. There we are, much nicer. And as I said, you can do this in stone brick block if you want, or you can choose a different colour accent for your engine shed. Now come to one side, doesn't matter which, because you're going to repeat all this over on the other side. Take stone brick slabs and run them right the way along the top of one long wall. Now grab stone brick blocks, and on this next row we're going to go 1, 2, 3, so that you end up with a total of 4 stone brick blocks. Come down to the other end, do the same thing, so 1, 2, 3 for a total of 4 stone brick blocks. And now fill in the space in between with grey stained glass blocks. Now the next row is bottom half stone brick slabs, and they go right the way along. For the next row we're going to grab stone brick blocks again, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3 so that we have a total of 4 stone brick blocks. Then it's the same for stone brick slabs bottom half, stone bricks again, and at the top stone brick slabs bottom half. So repeat these 4 rows down the other end, and repeat all of this on the other side of the roof. That's the main part of the roof. Now if you have made your engine shed wider than mine, just keep going with this section, so bottom half slab, brick and glass, bottom half slab, until you have a gap in the middle that is 7 blocks wide, and then do this little setup with blocks at either end. Now it's time to make the lantern. If you used a different block for the trim, use that same block for the lantern. In my case, that's warped wood. If you haven't got a trim, just pick a contrasting block that you like the look of. So we're going to come to this short first row of brick block and place 1, 2 warped wood. We're going to run it right the way along to the end, and again 1, 2. Now grab crimson trapdoors, and working from the outside facing in, we're going to place 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Place a warp plank. Go to the other end, do the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Place a plank and fill in the gap in between with crimson trapdoors. And fold them all up. Now if you don't like the crimson trapdoors, feel free to swap them out for acacia or oak. I think they're the best choices. And if you don't want to divide up your lantern, feel free to substitute crimson trapdoors for these 2 blocks here. And now we're going to repeat all of this round here. Now come to the inside, and at each end this counts as 1, so that's 2, 1, 2. And then on the top of that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 on top. Should look like that. Repeat this down this end. Now for the roof, we're going to make it out of stone brick blocks again, and it's going to be a similar pattern, but this time we start with a block and then slab and block and slab on top. Same over here, block, slab, block, and again we want to hide this jaggedness. So block, 2 slabs, block, 2 slabs, more blocks and more slabs. So again we end up with a nice smoothish line. So repeat that at the other end. And now we're just going to join up the 2 ends. One roof. Now before we come down off this roof, we're going to do a bit of spawn proofing. That involves putting stone pressure plates on top of all the top half stone brick blocks and warp pressure plates on top half warped blocks. We want to keep mobs off the roof if at all possible. There are references that you can find, people writing about visiting train yards and engine sheds in their youth in the UK, where they talk about the back walls of the engine sheds being greased so that kids couldn't climb up and look in the windows. This had two effects. One, it physically stopped the kids climbing up because they'd slip and slide. And two, if they tried, their clothes and hands would get filthy, which meant their mums would know what they'd been up to. So there we have it. Engine shed shell and roof done. Now we're going to deal with the detailing next, but first I'm just going to swap out that grass for stone. One stone floor. Let's start with dealing with the side door. So come down to the end from the outside, upside down polished granite stair, and a spruce door recessed with the hinges towards the back. Above it, two spruce trapdoors at the bottom of the block, and a lantern hanging next to the door. Now come round to the inside. Come to your door, find the granite block, go up one and over one and place an andesite wall, and underneath that hang a lantern. Let's come round to the front. Andesite wall on this row of stone brick blocks. We're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a lantern hanging from that wall. Do the same over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a lantern underneath. Now we're going to make the doors for the engine shed. So spruce trapdoors facing towards the outside, 1, 2, 3, and build that up to the same height as your doorway. So for me that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Make another door over here. Now if you're bothered that the two doors together only add up to 6, whereas this gap is 7, feel free to add another one onto one of your doors. So next we're going to run the rails in, and we're going to make the maintenance pit. So rails first, find the centre, 1, 2, 3, for me that's 4. Come back to where you want them to start and begin by taking out the spaces for your rails. Now we're leaving this centre one raised. Now remember what I said back at the beginning, the floor of your engine shed should be 1 block higher than the base of your rail, so that the floor is level with the top of the rail line. Now we're going to work out the length of the rail line and the maintenance pit inside. So it's the length of your longest engine plus 6. So for me that's 25 plus 6 is 31, and we start at the doorway. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 30, 31. That's where our rail lines are going. Now for the maintenance pit. So we start at the front here, and then we count back 1, 2, 3. Get rid of the next couple. Come to the end. Count back 1, 2, 3. And get rid of the next one and all the ones in between those two gaps. Next, take out the next row beneath where your rails are going to go. There we go. And now replace those two rows with black stone. And on top of that black stone, run your rails, be they anvil or stairs or whatever it is you make your rail lines out of. Rails laid, the next step is to dig out the maintenance pit, 2 more blocks. When you get to the end, dig out the ends as well, just to a depth of 1. And take out the block beneath the black stone that's under your rail. Now fill in the ends and the sides with black stone on both sides. Now that that's done, line the maintenance pit with bottom half black stone slabs. Once this is done, come to the back end of the maintenance pit and put 2 ladders so that you can easily get up and out. Next we're going to make a buffer because we don't want our engine running through the back of the shed. At the back of your rails, place 2 spruce planks on top of each other. Come round behind those and place 3 spruce stairs right way up. Thank you. And on top of those, we're going to place 5 spruce slabs bottom half. So it should look like that. Now, underneath each of these end slabs, a piston on its side, levers in front, flick them open, and there we have a buffer. There we are, rail line maintenance pit, buffers. Now we're going to get up into the ceiling, come to the inside of the front wall, and from one side count across 1, 2, 3, and on the 4th put some iron bars. Come to the other end, 1, 2, 3, and on the 4th put some iron bars. And now run those iron bars right the way along to the back wall of the shed. There we go, so 2 rows like that. Now come to one side, doesn't matter which, and it doesn't matter which end you start at. We're going to count across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on the 6th place a bar. Count across 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the 5th place a bar. Do that again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the 5th place a bar. Come to the other end, we're going to do the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to extend each of those right the way across to the opposite wall. There we are, that doesn't look too bad, but we need to add some lights. So come up to the top, and not here, but here, we're going to count across on our lantern blocks, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to place 3 chain and a lantern underneath. Do the same on the next one, 1, 2, 3, 3 chains and a lantern underneath. So repeat that down the other end and on this side. And now on this middle section, counting from the front, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then put 3 and a lantern. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 chains and a lantern. There we go. Now you can of course mix in some basalt or some black stone onto the floor to make it look grimy and dirty. You can also add some grey carpet, again to make it look a bit dirty, but also to act as spawn proofing. And in this space up the back you could add some trapdoor shelving or some barrels, maybe a couple of crafting tables or a blacksmith's bench, just so it looks like it's a used workspace. Now this is all well and good, but what if you have more than one engine that you want to house? Well, it's quite simple to fix that problem. You just build more of these next to each other. The first thing you need to do is get rid of one side wall. Doesn't matter which one, whichever suits how your train yard is set up or how your landscape goes. Now that that's gone, rebuild the engine shed next to it, but leave off the other side wall. So start building from here. And just keep adding them on the side until you have as many as you want. And then you just put the side wall back in on the end one. So there we have it, one engine shed completely modular and easily adapted to fit your engines and your rail lines. There's end cards on the screen now linking to some more of my tutorials, and I'll see you next time. Bye!